All right, so today I'm just going to be talking about, liquid fertilization and, specifically using this backpack sprayer. I want to go over my reviews and thoughts on this. I've used this probably about, at least 20 times, 25 times, I would say, in a year and a half. So I'll talk about that in just a second. And as far as what I've used, since May, I've only fertilized once. So I used the double dark about 10 days ago. We haven't had any rain in 2 weeks, so I've been watering, trying to water a little extra where I can, just get those deep watering sessions in. It's hard when you have a big yard and you don't have an irrigation system, so it does make it challenging, moving sprinklers around and winding up hoses. So it's a process, especially when you have so much else going on. You're working from home, you have to get everything else done and trying to, get in between work calls, things like that. So as far as the actual liquid applications, I think they all have their place, right? I like to mix it up between granular, liquid, synthetic, organic products. And then since May, I've only used these biostimulants from Next products. So these are the Dethatch, the Humic 12, and then I've used some RGS as well. I just actually finished these up, and these are a gallon, right? Yeah, these are a gallon. So these actually go pretty far. They're not cheap, but when you think about one application and how concentrated this stuff is, it's some of these you only use 3 ounces per 1,000 square feet. So it goes a long ways, and I've used it since May. So I just now finished everything up, and I've done the backyard and then the front yard. So I have about 15,000 square feet of grass, just under an acre of total property. So it's a big yard, and it's hard to keep up with. All right, it's hard to just maintain everything, and it seems like as soon as I finish something else, I see something, another project around the house or the yard that needs attention. So as far as that's concerned, I had contemplated not doing liquids anymore, just based on the size of the yard and how much of a pain it is to do it. And yeah, if you have the right sprayer, if you have the liquid blue stuff that dyes it so you can see what you're spraying, and you have the proper spray tips and the best sprayers possible, sure, that's going to make your job a whole lot easier. But as far as that's concerned, I've used this for glyphosate applications to kill weeds, which works great. I don't think there's anything else really better to do that than this backpack sprayer for that. So I've used this a handful of times for that. But as far as spraying itself, I just don't know if I can do it anymore. I really don't. It's exhausting. So and the issues I'm having with it, I'll tell you exactly the stresses of it. It's tiring, right? So with this sprayer, with this backpack sprayer, it's not a high-end product, okay? So I'm not expecting it to last and work perfectly fine. So just keep that in mind. This is probably, I don't know, a little over $100 for this thing a year and a half ago, and I've gotten a lot of use out of it. It's worked pretty good for the most part. Some of the little things are just, things that happen. I try taking care of it. I wash this thing inside really well, and then I spray out the water, so I flush it out pretty good. And then obviously when the pump starts, when it gets down to like a half gallon, 3 gallon, the pump starts, kind of winding and dying a little bit. So it's okay, it's probably time to turn it off so that you just don't keep burning out the pump, and then refill it. So I have to refill this thing like 3 times at least just to do one section, the front yard. So it's very time consuming to do that. You have to take it off. The straps, they only work so good, so you have to keep tightening them, right? It works pretty good. I mean, I haven't had any major issues with it, but just more of a nuisance and, kind of odd things here and there. And then this right here, the strap, sometimes this came off as I was putting it on. So like right here, you can kind of see that it gets a little, worn right here. And I'm not hard on this by any means. It's just the nature of doing this, right? Taking it on and off, it's a pain. So up here at the top, I'll start with this handle. There was a piece that kind of stuck through here, a little black piece right where that hole is. That fell off. I don't know what happened to that. So anytime I would fill this up and I go to put it on my back, it just splashes up like through here, and then it leaks down. So it's kind of a pain. You can see all the leaks and everything. And then as soon as I was tightening this down, I just noticed this the last time. So I would tighten this up, and towards the front of it, this would become real loose right here, and so it wouldn't tighten all the way. So I think it's something with the grooves in here. So in the threads, I don't think they're holding up as well as I would have hoped. But the ring in here, the seal has held up pretty well in here. So that's something that does do well. As far as the battery life's really good on. I just make sure I charge it after each use. This little piece comes off a lot, so I mean, it's not a big deal, but just something that I do notice that comes up. So when I'm tightening and turning it, I've noticed it comes off sometimes. Then also when you're spraying and you have to lift this thing up, you know, on your back, and it's full, so you got to be careful. So you have to almost hold this up as you're putting it on to kind of balance the weight and give it some good weight distribution. But I've noticed that this thing will come loose sometimes. So I always have to check and tighten this. Sometimes this will come loose. I haven't really had any leaks through here, fortunately, so that's been okay. But as far as the sprayer itself, what I've noticed is the brass tips, I mean, they're always going to work better than the cheap plastic ones, right? So this thing works really well. I just clean them out, you know, after each use. And these little O-rings, these little plastic, these rubbery O-rings are just garbage, right? You have to really replace these every time, it seems like, but they're so cheap, it's not really that big a deal. But it's just one of those things that every time you spray, there's always some kind of leak spraying out somewhere, so it's hard to get the right stream that you're looking for and then to get the right application. So that's something that to take into consideration. As far as the sprayer itself, the locking mechanism will it works pretty good. I haven't really had too many issues with this. So, you know, for you know, to prevent user fatigue, you just put it in here and lock it in place so you can hold it instead of having to hold this down. It works a lot better. So especially with a big yard like this, you want to make things a little bit easier as possible. So other than that, no, not really any other issues with it. Just certain things like that just get really annoying. So when you're doing the job, it's messy, right? I mean, I always put messy, like, old clothes on and things like that, but it's just a pain. It really is. You have to lift it up, and it's exhausting doing that. Half the work is just, you know, the cleanup, the prep, and obviously trying to make sure this thing doesn't leak at the top, especially because I've had issues where it'll just keep coming out, and you put it on your back and it starts flowing out. So really frustrating, but I don't know. We'll see if that discourages me. I mean, I'm probably not going to do as much next year, just because unless I get an upgrade in my sprayer. But there's a lot of things to pay for. There's a lot of things to upgrade around the house. So these kinds of things can, you know, get put on the back burner. But all in all, I think that's about it. And I just kind of wanted to share my thoughts and experiences about that. Let me know, you know, what sprayer you guys are using. I was looking at the 4-gallon, I think it's the Petro sprayer. And there's also one that has a cart on it, but those are like $250, $300. So I don't know. Maybe I'll invest in one of those at some point. I do want to get a new fertilizer spreader too. So there's a lot of other stuff to pay for that's, you know, kind of higher priority. So we'll see what happens, but just wanted your thoughts and to share a little bit about my 2 cents about this experience, you know, backpack spraying. So that's it. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.